Dead game. It's a term that gets thrown around a lot nowadays with seemingly no rhyme or reason. This game's dead, that game's dead, but when you take a look at the player counts, it says the exact opposite. People love to label a game as dying when its population slightly dips or the game's support starts to slow down. But even then, people still labeled games like Apex Legends dying the month after its launch. So what's the deal? Well, a lot of people just call a game dead or dying when they stop enjoying it. When they have a falling out with a game they've sunk so much time into, they'll be quick to put it in a casket. If you look at any game, there'll be someone saying it's already got one foot in the grave. But as long as there's still somebody playing it, the game is still by definition alive. So what makes a game actually dead? A broken feature, a dying player base? How about a game you technically can't even play anymore? Listen, I'm definitely not the first to talk about games you can't play anymore. Hell, I'm not even the first to talk about today's topic, and shit, I probably won't be the last. But the following story is just so interesting to my tiny little brain, I had to make a video about it. Plus, I'll take any excuse I can get to talk about Halo 2. My name's Heiko, and today we're going to be taking a look back at the story of the Noble 14, the last people to ever play Halo 2. Now, obviously, you can still go play Halo 2. I mean, I still have my original copy, and yeah, it still works. And you can still play the multiplayer through the Master Chief Collection. But if you want to play the original Halo 2 multiplayer, you're shit out of luck. That's because the servers for Xbox Live 1.0 on the first Xbox were shut down on April 15th of 2010. This meant that the online multiplayer functionality for all original Xbox games no longer worked, including Halo 2. But what makes Halo 2's situation different? Why am I talking about it specifically? Well, before I get into the details of the Noble 14, I want to explain why Halo 2 was so special. Halo Combat Evolved launched on November 15th, 2001, and it was nothing short of revolutionary. Listen, I don't think I need to explain why the launch of Halo was so important, evident by the existence of all this shit. But come 2002, Bungie realized it was time to follow up the critically acclaimed Combat Evolved with a sequel. The time up to release of Halo 2 is so infamous yet also famous at the same time. Whether it be an E3 trailer that claimed to be not smoke and mirrors, and you can guess how that one went, the insane crunch times near the end of the only 10-month development cycle which left devs sleeping at their desks overnight, or the amount of content that was cut including an entire third act. But on the other hand, you have stuff like the legendary I Love Bees ad campaign, which was one of the first ever ARGs. All in all, people were hyped for Halo 2. So hyped in fact they sold a record of 1.5 million copies in pre-orders alone. Post-launch, they'd end up selling 8 million copies worldwide, which nowadays looks like rookie numbers, but trust me, this was a big thing at the time. I mean, Halo 2 was the second best-selling game of 2004, just behind GTA San Andreas. And let's be honest, nothing is topping San Andreas. Regardless, Halo 2 was a massive success and received critical acclaim across the board. On console at least. The game not only reintroduced cut content from Combat Evolved, but also brought along an incredible story and a memorable campaign, and the revolutionary online multiplayer. Now, online multiplayer had been around for a hot minute before Halo 2. Sega had attempted it with the Dreamcast, and you can probably guess how that one went. Over on PC, online had been thriving for years, but no one had ever successfully brought online multiplayer to console gaming. Until Microsoft came along. In November of 2002, Microsoft would release Xbox Live 1.0, the first iteration of what would eventually become one of the biggest online gaming networks in the world. Microsoft needed a game that really pulled out all the stops and was the flagship title for their brand new multiplayer service. So they turned to Bungie. Combat Evolved had multiplayer in the form of up to 4-player split screen and/or LAN connection, which allowed for up to 4 consoles to be connected together, but it lacked a true online multiplayer. anymore. So come time for Halo 2, Bungie decided to pull out all of the stops, creating one of the most beloved and revolutionary multiplayers ever. You know that funny little thing called matchmaking that pretty much every fucking multiplayer game uses nowadays? Well, it's thanks to Halo 2 that we have modern matchmaking as we know it. And while it may seem a bit dated because it's almost 20 years old, the multiplayer still holds up all these years later on the Master Chief Collection. But here's the thing, yeah, we have the Master Chief Collection version of Halo 2's multiplayer and a weird Halo 2 Halo 4 hybrid for the Anniversary Edition, but when it comes to that original 2004 Halo 2 multiplayer experience, unfortunately there's no way to truly relive those days anymore. Which brings me to the story of the Noble 14. The year is 2009. Halo 3 had been out for a hot minute at this point, and most people had jumped ship to the new Xbox 360. At that year's E3, Microsoft revealed 2 new Halo games: the beloved Halo 3 spin-off, Halo 3 ODST, and what is considered to be one of the best, if not the best game in the Halo series, Halo Reach. From here on out, this video will contain spoilers for Halo Reach, a game that came out 13 years ago. Halo Reach was slated for release in the back half of Halo Reach was slated for release in the back half of 2010, and near the beginning of the year it was announced that Microsoft would be pulling the plug on the servers for Xbox Live 1.0 as people made their way to the new Xbox 360, leaving everyone still on the original Xbox offline. Xbox Live 1.0 had been out for about 7 years at that point, and most people had already moved on, but as they say, you don't truly appreciate something until it's gone. Halo Reach is a game you cannot win. There's no cliffhanger, no happy ending. The whole story is about Noble Team fighting a losing battle against the Covenant on planet Reach till their very last breath. You watch as each member of your team is picked off one by one until the final mission, Lone Wolf. You, Noble 6, watch as the last ship leaves Reach. Your objective is to survive, an objective of which you cannot accomplish. No matter how long you fight, days, hours, weeks, months, no one comes back to save you. There is no secret ending or prize. April 15th, 2010. At midnight, Xbox Live 1.0 would be shut off for good. The servers for Halo 2 and other popular multiplayer games on the original Xbox were flooded with people reliving those past memories. As the hours ticked down, people began to say their goodbyes and move on. And finally, the clock struck 12. Everyone expected to be booted offline for good and have that be the end of it. But the games continued. People kept playing as if nothing happened, and eventually it was figured out that Microsoft had allowed people to keep the servers alive as long as they kept playing. If you were online and playing as the shutdown occurred, you could continue on as long as you didn't log off or have your console shut down. So, people kept on, playing for a few more hours into the early April morning. But as the days ticked on, there were still some holdouts, eventually whittling down to just 14 people. These 14 players kept going for days on end, keeping their consoles running for as long as possible. Eventually, they would become known as the Noble 14. The first of the 14 to drop was Detton, who went offline for unknown reasons sometime before April 28th. And as the days continued, the remaining members of Noble 14 began to drop one by one. Eventually, Bungie started to offer the holdouts codes to the beta of Halo Reach as a sort of nod towards their efforts to keep Halo 2 alive. But most just kept on their mission. It had been almost 3 weeks now, and the team had been plagued with power outages and internet dropouts. People on the Bungie forums watched as the last holdouts kept the game on life support, and eventually a spokesperson from Microsoft acknowledged the noble few who were still going. May 8th, Lord Odysseus 11 is taken offline due to internet issues, leaving just 2 people left online, Agent Windex and Apache Enforcer. Just 2 days later, May 10th at 4:15 a.m., Agent Windex goes offline, leaving his parting message for Apache Enforcer: "Good job, Apache, you're the last one." Apache was the last one on Halo 2, the last person to ever play the game that millions had formed everlasting memories and friendships on. He had one last objective: survive. Apache played for 15 more hours after Agent Windex went offline, dedicating an hour to each member of the Noble 14 and an extra to the community. 1:58 a.m., May 11th, Apache plays the final minute of the original Halo 2 before pulling the plug, taking Halo 2 and Xbox Live 1.0 offline for good. There was no secret ending, there was no prize. Like Noble Team of Halo Reach, the Noble 14 of Halo 2 were up against a challenge they would never beat. But because of their efforts to keep alive the game that was loved by millions, they will forever be cemented in the history of Halo as the final 14 people to ever play Halo 2.